Hello YouTube, Andy from NGB here, and it is Throwback Thursday, and we're playing Rage. Yeah, why are we playing Rage, you might ask? Well, Rage 2's just been announced, hasn't it? So we thought we would... Hello there! Hello, is your name... Your name's Frank, isn't it? Oh, had a wee accident there, Frank. So we thought we'd get back on the first Rage, and just see how well it's held up, and explore the history of this intriguing cult classic. So, Rage was released in 2011 by Bethesda. It was developed by id Software using their id Tech 5 engine. So, we get moving now.
Got bandits all over these hills. We best get going.
So this is a gruff mechanic, freedom fighter, called Dan, played by John Goodman, because why wouldn't you get John Goodman to play your gruff mechanic freedom fighter? So, a little bit of a background to the story as to where we are. We have just woken up from thousands, many years in cryostasis. We were placed in cryostasis because a meteor was getting ready to hit Earth and mess things up just ever so slightly. So some of the population were stuck in these underground chambers, and they've gradually been popping up into this lawless society. Where, you know, Mad Max kind of stuff's going on. So you've got these fellas here who are like sort of gangs, you've got humans, you've got corporations, I think. It's been a while since I played this, so I mean, I have played and completed Rage. It was released on Xbox 360 and PS3 and PC, and we're playing the PC version here, albeit with an Xbox 360 controller. Now, one of the things I do remember about this, although when I played it the first time, it was on my an old laptop that I had, so I couldn't quite run it at the same resolution and fidelity as I'm running it on my current desktop. But I do remember that the graphics had a lot of weird foibles that I can kind of see still happening, like textures not quite loading in when you turn your head. You can kind of see it on Dan's shoulder pads and the seat backs there. Things aren't quite loading in fully until you turn your head. It's not quite as noticeable on this, but I do believe it was quite problematic on other systems as well, and it was one of the big issues with Rage. A lot of people took issue to Rage when it came out. Now, in hindsight, it received some fairly decent reviews when it hit. When you go back, you look at the Metacritic ratings for it. It was fairly well received. It got 79 on PC. It got 81 on consoles, and the visuals and the AI were quite heavily praised in the game. However, gamers didn't receive it that well. They kind of gave it a bit of short shrift because of a lot of the graphical issues that it had. The id Tech Engine 5 didn't seem quite as well developed. You can kind of see the textures popping about all over the place, as obviously they're loaded out when my head turns away and they're loaded back in when it turns back. And also, there are a few issues with the story. It's quite short in a way if you're just playing the game for the story, and it's also got quite an abrupt ending.
Head to where those bandits live.
The game also promised a sort of an open world, and it only really produced a kind of a semi-open world, as you'll see in a moment. So we're getting our first mission here.
Oh, and you won't just get my thanks.
And we're going to go take out a bandit hideout.
One more thing. Those bandits shouldn't be too hard to take
down. Our first weapon.
Not for you. I hear there's something special about you Ark people.
Yeah, of course, we're like the chosen one or something. So, as I mentioned, this was what you could probably consider to be a semi-open world. So, it's a first-person game, first-person shooter, with some hello, bumping about, with some vehicle sections which take you out into this sort of semi-open world. It's not quite go anywhere. You're still kind of funneled down these sort of little tunnels, down set paths, but there are sort of little side quests that you can take on, little things like, for example, if we stop here, I believe, jerky camera, that there are these things dotted around. I think as you upgrade your vehicles, you're able to take them down and loot them for resources, to allow you to upgrade your vehicles and your weapons. So there's kind of a light RPG thing going on with it as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to follow the mini-map, and head this way to our first mission. So press X to boost. Use B to brake hard. You mean the handbrake? I think you mean a handbrake. So I'm going to hop off. So we've got our first mission is this bandit hideout. So the game's kind of split up into discrete levels which are kind of connected through this open world, and once you've defeated the mission in a level, there's often side quests that you can go back and tackle. But I kind of played through this the first time without really doing a huge amount of the side material in the game. I kind of blasted through the the main storyline to the end. Hello, loot corpses. Make sure you loot corpses. There's a corpse. Let's loot it. We got some food cans. Delicious food cans. So I quite enjoyed this game when I played it. I really did quite like the kind of the mix-up of run and gun shooting, and sort of some slight stealth bits. I got it a little while after it was actually released. I think I picked it up in a Steam sale, and it wasn't that much. It was only a few pounds, so I kind of didn't come into this as a full price game. So you loot objects to get resource which you can use to craft stuff at the various different hubs. And here is an example of something that I can't get into yet. I need to craft something else to come back to this level to access that. I mean, you can kind of see as I'm turning the problems that this game has with its visuals. Oh, well, that's very accurate, isn't it? Wow, they take a lot of punishment, don't they? Okay. Where's the other one gone? He's gone vanishing off. So largely, yeah. So there's you know, other than kind of finding hidden stuff in the overworld, there's not a huge amount of sort of puzzly stuff to be going on within here. It's very much shoot all the things in the levels, get to the end of the level, and move on to the next mission or do a few side quests to get goodies to help your progress. Now, the sequel, which is just been announced, is being co-developed by Avalanche and id Software, again published by Bethesda. Now, obviously, Avalanche, famous for both the Just Cause games. Do I have a die? Do you want to die for me? There we go. And I'll loot you as you're falling. And also Mad Max, which is, you know, a very good pedigree for open world games. So it'll be certainly quite interesting to see how the second one fares. Can you pull yourself up? You can't pull yourself up. How the second game fares with regards sort of developing its open world, whether obviously the pedigree of Avalanche is brings something new to the table. Now, in addition to the console and PC versions of this, there was also a iOS game released called Mutant Bash TV. I'm going to bash this mutant for a second. In his face. That was a headshot, if ever I saw one. Which was, I believe, it's been a while since I played it on my iPad, a gallery shooter. So I don't think you did much moving around, but you fairly sort of stayed in one place and blasted away at enemies as they came at you. And that's kind of takes its name from an event that you can enter yourself into later on in the game called Mutant Bash TV. I do like the visuals in this game. It's kind of got that sort of Mad Maxy post-apocalyptic thing going for it, but it's also got a very sort of slightly surreal, sort of almost fable-ish, sort of Bioshock-ish sort of early 2000s kind of game look.
Look at what Hagar said to us. How dare you think you can walk into our house? Take him to the
kill room. I'm going to the kiln. Okay.
Ah, you're awake. Good. I like
he's not feeling very well, is he?
Coming. I promise this will hurt.
That's not very nice. You're near death. The nanotrops in your body can revive you and neutralize any hostilities nearby. Oh yes, so you're wait for the nodes to charge up. Once the nodes are charged, they shoot towards each other. Press A when the nodes are intersecting. The nodes shoot right past each other, so they won't bounce back, so you only have one chance. Okay. Yes, I think I remember that mechanic. So if you die, you get another chance. You get to yeah, pretty unpleasant, really, isn't it? I mean, it's yeah, graphic. Let's get out of here. Sneak attack. So yeah, generally you can pick up rage for a couple of squid these days. It's not normally too...
Who's that? What the heck?
I mean, I kind of was trying to be stealthy, but that sort of failed fairly badly, didn't it? Oh, hello. So I think it's worth to pick up if you can forgive its shortcomings, the fact that it is fairly short, and the graphics engine doesn't entirely hold together wonderfully. Blimey O'Reilly. Would you please die, bosses? I think it's well worth play. It's well worth your time. I wouldn't be surprised if it hits Xbox One back compatibility now that they've announced the sequel. So there's some interesting weapons going on. I mean, you saw those guys running towards us with like the boomerang things. You do actually get those later on in the game as well, and they're quite a good stealth weapon. Is he actually dead, or is he still alive? He was still alive! Kick him. So I think it's worth your time. The sequel does look like it's shaping up to be quite interesting. It's got kind of like a bit of a neon thing going for it, sort of a pink and yellow thing from the trailers, which is interesting considering how remarkably grey this game is. Grey and brown. how you can tell it's an early 2000s game. Or early 2010s game, rather, sorry. Oi! You're supposed to be dead!
Over there.
So what we'll do is we'll finish this level off. If I can pick up... So, I do remember the vehicle combat being quite good fun. Oh, you do regenerate health, because why wouldn't you? If I stand still for long enough, my wounds will heal, because I am the goddamn Wolverine. Oh, he's gone over there. The vehicle combat was quite good fun in this, from what I remember. And, in fact, there were a couple of multiplayer modes. One of them was built around the vehicle combat. Purely around the vehicle combat, and the other one was a series of co-op missions which took you through the main levels of the game. So I don't think there was actually any deathmatch multiplayer. Actually, quite famously, I think Cliff Blazinski from X of Epic Games commented at the time that it was one of his biggest disappointments of 2011 because of its lack of actual deathmatch multiplayer. In fact, given the levels, it would have been quite interesting to see some deathmatch going on around these dilapidated structures. Please die. So yeah, we'll get to the end of this mission. And I'm snagged on the geometry. Oh, get round the corner. Wow, they're... I mean, I commented about how good the AI was, but they're literally shooting at an empty wall space there.
Oh, I'm gonna bleed now.
I literally shot you in the spine. How are you not dead? I mean, thanks very much, Dan Hagar, for just giving me a crappy little pistol to take down these Mad Max looking MFs. You know. Getting up that way.
Send help. I see it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Grenade.
Chuck a grenade. Boff. I mean, the combat is quite satisfying in this. It's quite chunky, and I like the way you can cook grenades before you actually commit to throwing them. Okay, so I think that must be the bandit threat quelled. We have thoroughly quelled the bandits. Let's ride the zipline back down. There we go. And we've got to now return to Sully. Dan Hagar. So yeah, so that's Rage. It kind of does what it says on the tin. It's an angry, post-apocalyptic first-person shooter, and I think it's, you know, it's a bit rough around the edges, but it is worth your time. What was that? Oh yes, that's how you took on extra missions. It is worth your time. It's worth picking up. Like I say, you can get it for, you know, the price of a McDonald's Happy Meal these days. If you're careful where you look. Like I say, it wouldn't surprise me if it hits backwards compatibility on Xbox One. Let's see if we can get this. Nope, missed it. I think you need to upgrade your vehicle so you can jump higher. Yeah, it opens up. There's some interesting things to do. And yeah, give it a go before the sequel comes out, because it's likely to have some plot threads that are picked up on in that. I've been Andrew Beacon, as always. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all the usual YouTube shenanigans. Keep checking NGB's Twitter channel, subscribe to us there, and keep checking out the content that we got on the site. We've regularly got videos going up here, so you know you're never going to be bored. We're here to entertain you. If you've got any ideas for games that we might want to take a look at in Throwback Thursday as well, chuck them down in the comments and we will see what we can do. Someone really needs to go and put that out, don't they? Very, very, very inappropriate for someone to leave a massive fire burning up there. Anyway, very disappointing. If you've got any ideas for Throwback Thursdays that we might want to check out, please leave them in the comments section, and we will see you in our next video. Bye!